It's got a voice now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to First Friday Spirit Talk. We get together here on the first Friday of every month at noon to talk about different spiritual and metaphysical topics in depth. I'm here with Reverend Ginny Brown um, on my left. I'm not sure where she is on your screen. And I've got Scout Bartlett here on the right. They're both counselors and spiritual teachers. She's a clairvoyant and he's a clairsentient teacher. And my name is Christopher, and I do astrology stuff, and I host and I ask the questions. We're here today to talk about the subject of manifestation and the law of attraction. And we're trying out a new format, actually, where I'm going to be giving a 3-minute update on the current astrology and then getting into questions and breaking down the subject. So I'm going to go right into that, which is the big headline for this month that you're likely to see on social media and such is about Mercury retrograde. That's what's going to be splashed up on any kind of news thing that you follow. That might be what is coming into your feed. And there's going to be more of the same coming throughout the summer as more planets go retrograde. They're just going to be making the headlines of like 5 planets are retrograde, and there's going to be a heavy sort of doom and gloom kind of energy that they attach to that. So first of all, I want to explain what Mercury retrograde is and what planetary retrogrades are in general, and then I want to explain why you don't have to worry about it. First of all, so Mercury is the planet of communication, and it rules our thoughts, our communication, how we talk, how we exchange energy and share energy with each other. First and foremost, it's about that. It's about communication and energy exchange. And a retrograde is when a planet is moving forward in the sky and it appears from our perspective on Earth to stand still and then start moving backwards. It's not actually moving backwards, it's always going forwards around the sun. But from our perspective on Earth, it appears to stop, stand still, and then start moving backwards. So that's what's going on right now. Mercury was zipping along in the sky, it stopped, and then now it's moving backwards for 3 weeks, and then it'll go forward again. And during that time when it's retrograding, its energy can be heightened and show up a little differently than we're used to. It's a time when it's a very active energy in our spaces and where we are reviewing it, going over it in a different way, where it can seem like we're backtracking or going inward around the energy of whatever planet that it is. And so a lot of people I've noticed in my experience as I'm online and stuff talk about retrogrades in a heavy way, as though they're like an inconvenience or a stressor or something that just happens to us that we have to get through, right? And in light of the fact that we're here today talking about the law of attraction and manifestation and how the way that we think affects the reality that we experience, I want to put light on the fact that astrology is part of cosmic law just like anything else is. And it is also subject to the rules of how we hold expectations about it and how we think about it affects how we experience it. So if one holds the idea that Mercury retrograde is going to be stressful and beat you up and you'll have no power over it, you're creating a disempowered experience for yourself of it, and that will play out. But if you choose to feel into your definitions and think about it as, I like to call them upgrades. Retrogrades are upgrades, or like boot camps that we sign up for to get new skill sets and work out the kinks in our thinking, to clear our vibration and expand, right? If you think about them in these terms, yes, there might be challenges that come up. Yes, you will be working with the energy of that planet, but you get to define and set the parameters for what you're going to use it for. So I really encourage, and I'm right there with you, practicing it, changing my definitions, and reaching for those positive ways of seeing it. But I have found over time that my experience of these phenomenon changes when I think of them in empowered ways, and I think of them as working for me. So when Mercury goes retrograde for 3 weeks, um, I like to think of it as a time when my thoughts, my communication, my beliefs, the way that energy moves around inside my mental system is getting upgraded and unwound and having blocks removed from it. And it's working as a teacher. It's showing me where there's things that are limiting my space and it's helping me shift them. And if you can think of it that way, I think that it will change how you experience it. Yes, there might still be car issues or trouble with the Venmo customer support hotline, because there is an element to it where just anything that has to do with communication energy is amped up and a little wonky. But the broader meaning of it is that you're working with that planet and going inward with it to hopefully upgrade something in your space rather than just be dragged around by it. Um, and that works with all the planets. You know, you can use Saturn retrograde to work on your integrity and your maturity. You can use Jupiter retrograde to work on your beliefs, Venus retrograde to work on your relationships, and etc. So everything in astrology happens to help us in our evolving, unfolding, becoming, and not, you know, it's all for our empowerment if we use it that way. Then, so that said, jumping into the topic of law of attraction and manifestation today, I'm going to start off with just asking Ginny and Scout how they think about this topic and how they like to teach about it. Because I know that for a lot of us, as we enter into the world of spirituality, however we do, it can be one of the first things that we encounter and learn about. Maybe we listen to some Abraham Hicks, maybe we read The Secret, and we hear that we create our own reality. And I think on a lot of levels that's true, but I think it can also come with some snags and some hangups that we then get to work through as we deepen and mature into our spirituality. So, and I think as we go, the teaching deepens for us. So I would love to hear about how you understand those ideas. Ginny, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Thanks for the recap on Mercury retrograde. That was very helpful. And I agree a lot with your perspective on how we manifest through positive and negative. Um, for me, the law of attraction doesn't begin there. It begins with the law of magnetism. And often, like what we're looking to attract comes through that initial law of magnetism. And so, say like often we're looking to attract things like money, relationships, positive things in our life. And what gets magnetized to us while we're calling that in is going to be the strongest vibration in our space. So we will magnetize if it's like, oh, I'm looking for a relationship. We're going to magnetize the fear if that's what's most prevalent. We will magnetize to us the strongest energy in that mock-up or in what it is that we're trying to attract. And usually that's a stepping stone to what we need to heal or work on in order to get the bigger picture of what we attract. And so it's the law of attraction works with a lot of other laws in the universe. And it's important to note that like just wanting something it's a good step, but it's not enough to manifest or to create from it. You have to put your will in that conversation. You have to face, any fears or dragons that show up, uh, any belief systems that are limiting. There's a lot of things that kind of go into manifestation. And I really love the philosopher Joseph Campbell's stance of follow your bliss. Because I feel like if we just spend our life going after the things that we consider to be blissful or our happiness, we'll face all of our fears. We'll face anything that stands in the way of that. And we'll grow as much as we're meant to grow in this lifetime. And so, like, the law of attraction can help pull you towards the lessons in order to get there. And so when I think of creation, creation is what we're here to experience. You know, it is the school of earth. We're here to practice being creators, of making decisions, to understand what that means, and to become responsible for the collective outcome as well as our individual outcome. I'll pass it to you, Scout.
Cool. It's one of my favorite topics of like how does the universe tick?
Mhm.
And so a couple pieces that I want to hit. First off, everything is energy and every non-thing is energy. So quantum physics finally got to where they agree with us that everything's energy. They still debate the terms, but everything is energy. And no matter how you experience it, whether you experience it as energy or whether you experience it as an emotional flow or a mental flow or a physical flow, it's all the same thing, just viewed from different aspects. The same way that my shirt has a tactile feel, but it also has a visual aspect to it. Happens to be purple. Everything is energy and everything is flow and magnetics. Now, my view of affirmations is that the primary use of affirmations is to stir up your own inner arguments. Every day and every way, everything's getting better. No, it's not. Oh, there's one. I need to let that one go. Every day and every way, everything's getting better. You'll mess it up. Oh, I need to address that one. And using whatever set of tools you develop along the way to address the counter arguments that show up. I'm going to get myself a Porsche. Nope, you don't have any credit, and address those so that you come to peace. I've been doing a lot of work lately. There's a quote that I can't attribute because I've seen it attributed to multiple people, but the quote is, I choose to forgive them, not based on whether or not they deserve forgiveness, but because I deserve peace. I've taken that one another step forward for the last couple of months or so, to where now I'm looking at that as I choose to forgive me, not based on whether or not I deserve forgiveness, but because I deserve peace. I deserve to find those places in me that are tied up in tangles and release them and let them go. One piece I want to address, and I think Ginny's going to hit it too. Oops, Ginny's that direction. I think Ginny's going to hit it. I think Ginny's going to hit it too, is simply, I get clients that'll come in and they're coming in for a presenting issue. And then they'll say to me, I don't want to say it because if I say it, that'll give it power and make it happen. I really want to point out to you that if the thoughts flitting across your conscious surface mind made stuff happen, then every time they did a draw for the lottery, 87 million people would all win 50 cents apiece, right? Because everybody that's thinking about lottery is thinking, I want to win the lottery. If that made it boom happen, then, everybody win 50 cents, which would be sort of entertaining, but not very precious. It's not those conscious mind chatters that create and magnetize and draw your reality. It's the thoughts that stay fixed. I'm avoiding the word fixated. It's the thoughts that stay fixed. So it's got way more to do with the subconscious mind chatter. They never should have this, they never should have that. I'm mad at this, I'm mad at that, I'll never, they'll never. It's got way more to do with that subconscious mind chatter that's being repeated over and over, giving it power, than it has to do with, oh, my knee hurts. Oh my God, now I've thought about my knee hurts. I'm gonna have a wounded knee forever. It's that stuff in the background. And the stuff in the background really magnetizes and really, really works. So we'll talk more about that. Chris?
Yeah, exactly where I wanted to go first, because there can be a lot of things that come out of these teachings where we become guarded and worried about, oh no, I'm having a negative feeling. Am I going to create a negative reality? And then we restrict and we hold ourselves tensely and we invalidate ourselves. And we feel like we're doing something wrong because we're having a human experience and we feel like we're not being spiritual enough or we're messing it up. And it's a complex of stuff that I've worked through and learned to relax into as I first encountered these teachings. Um, so, is there any way in which we need to be careful or mindful or disciplined about how we think, um, lest we create something wrong? Or is it all just, is everything that comes up just an opportunity to identify those subconscious beliefs and work on them? Basically, how can we use the negative mind chatter, the feelings that we have, um, in the best possible way, if it's not about controlling them and stopping them? Ginny, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, well, it's really pointless to try to control your thoughts. You can't control your thoughts because you're being thought, and you're being thought by your beliefs. Your beliefs is what you can work on, and your beliefs is where there is an actual, it's kind of like where the gears are. Like Scout's going to have a fantastic metaphor for this, but I'll just lay some very juvenile groundwork for it. Your beliefs are what is driving everything. It's driving your thoughts, it's driving your emotional vibration. And these three areas work in sync together. Your mind, your soul, where your belief systems live, and your emotional center. So your emotional vibration will tell you if it's an empowering belief or a limiting belief. And based on that range, right? If it's empowering, it's going to feel positive. It's going to feel expansive. It's going to feel loving, right? If it's a limiting belief, it's going to feel, you're going to feel fear or limitation or negativity, right? And the liberation, like truth is an evolution, right? Our beliefs sometimes offer us a very fixed reality. And in that fixed reality, we can't really, we minimize what it is that we're able to create. So if my thoughts are sending me a negative vibration, saying I can't have something or I can't do something, it's because I actually believe that to be true. And so that's going to create a confined space for me to manifest within. And eventually we'll break out of that. But you can't really control your thoughts. You can attach to them or not. You can choose that. Meditation helps to clear the deck, helps to open and release some of that chatter. But from my understanding and kind of watching this in myself and in clients is that we are actually just being thought by our beliefs. And so to kind of like relax into that, that you are not your thoughts, but your reality is manifested from what you believe. And so if you don't like the way your life is presenting, or you feel limited in some way, look for the core of that. And you do the work here, and it's going to unravel the rest. Your thoughts around dating might change, or your thoughts around money might change, or whatever it is that where you feel there is some block to what it is that you can create. Scout. I'm sure you'll make that pretty.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, my job's to be the pretty one.
Your job's to be the pretty one this week.
Oh boy. I would have done mascara. This is how I played with that. And I 100% agree with what Ginny said, that you can't fight your thoughts. However, resilient though they may be, I'm a huge believer in training your own mind. In fact, I kind of think of it as an untrained mind is a waste. I'm a huge believer in training your own mind, because what I've observed happens is random thoughts for no particular reason get stuck in a loop, and then they run around and around and around in that loop in their own separate compartment if it was traumatic. And so we've got this loop going around and around in its own separate compartment that doesn't get updated and doesn't come current. So it may still be terrified about Johnny the bully in your 5th grade class. Anytime you're going to walk into a room full of strangers, you're bracing for Johnny the bully in 5th grade who made fun of you one time, but your mind now has this loop going around and around that says it happens all the time. It always happens. There's always a Johnny, and it always happens. And so we've got this fabulous mantra: there's always a Johnny, it always happens. There's always a Johnny, it always happens. There's always a Johnny, running in the back of our mind until we step into that compartment to interrupt it, to change it, to shift it, to bring it current. Ways to do that is in meditation. It's fabulous to recognize that any meditative practice, and I talk a lot about meditation, so let me hit this real quick. I've had people say, oh, I tried to meditate, Scott, I can't do it, doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I have the same theory about going to the gym. I went to the gym, I lifted some heavy stuff, I got no muscles, the gym doesn't work. meditation is not about that the first time you sit down, you're able to clear your mind for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 6 hours. It's about choosing a point of focus and being willing to prioritize that focus so that whatever thoughts come into your mind, you simply let them pass on through and come back to your chosen focus. And you let them pass on through and come back to your chosen focus, like shampoo, lather, rinse, repeat. So that you build the ability to effectively, in that loop of Johnny, the fifth grade bully's going to be there, we build out paths. Every time we interrupt that loop, we're building a new path that goes out of the loop until the loop itself breaks down and dissolves. You can do that in meditation. Actually, if you go into my website, ifidknownthen.com, or the shortcut notscott.com, we've got radio shows. And the first show in March, we taught a process called Rose and Frame, which is a pretty simple lather, rinse, repeat, do it a lot technique for taking stuff out of those repeating boxes. So that's in the website. It's free. You may or may not have to register, but we don't even put you in the mailing list. Speaking of which, if you're watching this on YouTube, please press the subscribe button. Even if you never want to see us again, our subscribe numbers make a difference on what we're able to do on YouTube. Back to the program, already in progress. Retraining those recurrent thoughts and holding yourself to where you notice when you come off of them that you come back, and you notice when you come off of them you come back, makes a huge difference in what shows up around you. Because if you've retrained a recurrent, the bully's always going to be there, to where what you've replaced it with, I think the third week of March we do a thought replace technique. March was my birthday month, so I did a small workshop for every radio show that month. So they're all juicy to my eye. You may not like them. But retraining that all of a sudden makes that mantra in the back of your head no longer be Johnny. There's always going to be a Johnny bully's going to be there. It all of a sudden becomes that it falls out and goes, no, actually I'm walking in feeling great. It starts into the loop. It takes one of the out paths where you've shifted to a chosen focus. And now all of a sudden you're walking into the room being your chosen focus rather than being your fear since, I've lost track. Johnny was in fifth grade. Whatever grade Johnny was in. Yeah, I get a yes, thanks. Being worried about your fifth grade bully is going to be there to attack you again. Thank God for an audience. They can keep me on track. So your thoughts run your world, but you can choose to retrain them the same way that if you've got a new puppy, you can either let the new puppy run your world, or you can train the puppy on how you and the puppy can cooperate. So, train that puppy in the back of your mind.
Speaking of YouTube and stuff, I was doing so much at the beginning of this, I forgot to mention that all of the links to everyone's websites, to our Facebook page, and to YouTube are in the chat box. If you want to click on those and follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and etc. Book sessions with Ginny and Scout. So this idea that reality is a mirror for us, and that we're creating it through that it's reflecting to us our thoughts and our beliefs, so that we have a chance to see them and work with them and change them, and then something about the reflection changes. How does that tie into this discussion that we're having? The way that this external world that's around us connects into this feedback loop and helps us and supports us and shows us what we're believing. Ginny?
Well, we're having an experience, like I personally am having an experience of looking outside to the world. Like I cannot see myself. I need something to mirror back to me who I am. And so in this moment, I'm looking at Scout, and I'm looking at Christopher, and I'm looking at this audience, and I'm seeing parts of myself being reflected back to me. Because this is what it means to be in sync with it. I can't see myself without that reflection. I can't see myself without looking at you. And it's an important part of, it's very, very mystical, and it's an important part of our experience to recognize that everyone is a reflection of you in some way, especially the people that you don't like. And so to perceive is to project. Okay. And perception is what drives our projection. So if I perceive a situation to be loving and inviting, I'm going to project that onto it, and it will be my experience. Whereas if I perceive a difficulty, I'm going to project the difficulty onto it, and that's going to be my experience. That will be how it mirrors back to me what it is I see and believe. So if I look at someone as troubled, I'm actually projecting that onto them. I'm projecting a trouble in me that I want to work on, or I'm projecting a reality where I'm looking to figure out a way through this difficulty with someone. So you really have to get out of the analytical space to understand that spiritual principle in general, because it's very, very mystical. And it takes you opening your third eye to see a very different sort of landscape out of the eye, out of the ego, and into the reflection point of what we think and what we believe is the reality as we experience it. And so the analytical mind will never be able to sort out the truth of this. Like, it really has to sink into the heart and into the soul to experience it, and to accept all beings on this earth as a part of you. And when we do that, as we come into acceptance bit by bit, as we accept our brothers and sisters, we understand them. And when we understand, when we've dropped into a place of true discernment, we heal and we connect. And it's a when you've experienced that, and we all have to some degree, it's a very, very empowering and magical place to be coexisting with another. Scout.
Wow, cool. I lost the question. So let me just go this way with it. I have a practice, and we're gonna teach that to you in 2 minutes. What I think it's my month, right, Chris? Yeah, cool. When we do the meditation at the midpoint here, I have a practice that we call the live beam, which stands for Life Insights, my work, vertical energy beam up through our body. And it's a focused meditation practice, but it's also a walking meditation practice that I come back to again and again and again. As Chris mentioned earlier, he and I have both been doing a small dance with a particular company and their interaction with a bank and a credit card, finding glitches in their system. It turns out I'm exquisite at being their debugger. I have found every bug in their system so far, it seems. And that involved some level of my body wanting to go into stress and wanting to project what the company I was trying to use this card with was going to think of me, and the people that I was working with, and what I thought of them, and what I thought of the designers that built this system that I found the bugs in. And that gave me moments to be able to snap out of that and come back to that beam of energy up through the middle of me, snap out of my growl, snap out of my chatter, snap out of my embarrassment, snap out of my, they're going to think bad things about me because they're going to think I gave them a bad credit card, and come back to my center, reestablish my center, and be in my life from there. That simple practice in itself is rebuilding the patterning in the back of our mind that would, under all circumstances, bring us back to being ourselves, interacting with our surroundings as they are. There's a phrase in a treatment practice that I do that I call the acceleration series. We go in and knock out the inner limitations. And that phrase is, everybody breathe quick, because I'm going to throw you quickly into trance. In fact, I'm going to say this phrase, and then Chris, is it okay if we skip an intro if I just go into the meditation? Cool, thanks. The phrase is letting everybody else go, turning all of them over to their own life path, and recognizing that all of their choices and all of their outcomes have simply been their essence unfolding their lessons through their life path. And that all of your choices and all of your outcomes have been your essence unfolding your lessons through your life path that have brought you here now, making the realizations you're making now. So if you'd like to, you can let your eyes go closed and just draw in a long, deep breath till your lungs are full and let that air flow out again. And as you're ready for another breath, let it be a long, deep breath. And this time, imagine that air flowing out through your body as if your body were layers of silk or fabric. And with each breath, let the air flow in and let it flow out through your body, feeling your body open and expand. And in your imagination, imagine reaching a hand down to the center of this planet Earth, stirring that warm, rich, dense energy there. Curl that imaginary hand into a cup and use that cupped hand now to pull a streamer of energy from the center of the Earth right up through the earth beneath you. It's just energy passing through energy, to draw it right up through the earth beneath you, right up and into your body, just in front of your tailbone, and let it connect there, your first chakra, your connection with self, allowing that self to be connected with earth. And let that warmth from the center of the earth be connected right there into your body, just in front of your tailbone, allowing that warmth there at your pelvic cradle, at your tailbone, allowing that warmth to spread and expand, letting all of those muscles relax. And I know we get trained not to let energy flow down there near our reproductive bits, but just let it warm now, let it strengthen. Now draw that streamer of energy from the center of the earth, stretch it from your tailbone area up deep inside your body, just in front of your spine, stretch it up through your abdomen, through your chest, through your neck, through your head, out to the top of your head and all the way up and into what I'll call source, big energy cloud. So you're willing a flow of energy from the center of the earth right up through your body, up and into and fountaining or geysering into source. In fact, will it to be more, richer, denser, faster, brighter. Will that to be more energy from the center of the earth right up through you, geysering into that energy cloud I'll call source. As you do that, imagine, allow, permission, let there to be that beam through the middle of you is creating a glow, and let that glow right out through you and right out through everyone and everything around you. Floors, chairs, walls, ceilings, people, baby ducks, whatever you got. Relax and allow that glow, allow your energy field out through you and everything and everyone around you. And I'd like you now to imagine two difficult people. I could choose a particular credit card company. Imagine two difficult people in your world, whether you know them personally or just connect with them. Place them right there in your space, in your face. And notice how that changes how you feel. And shift that feeling now to allow that beam to reestablish right up through the middle of you, up and into source. Any place it's bent or constricted, just open it there. And now allow that glow to glow right on out through these difficult people. It's just energy passing through energy. Allow that glow to glow right through these difficult people so that you have your full energy field, even if their bodies are in the same place as that. Letting it, there you go. And now add to those difficult people, add one or two people that you find delightful. If you don't have anybody else, grab the three of us and put us right there in your space, right there in your face. Notice how your energy shifts in honor of these people that you think are delightful. And now again, just shift, open that beam and let that glow right on out through the delightful people, the challenging people, the chairs, the floors, the walls, the ceilings, the baby ducks. Give yourself your energy space and allow it to glow right on through these others, regardless of how their interaction with you has been. Allow you your energy space passing right through the space they occupy. Bringing your focus back to that beam of energy from the center of the earth, right up through the earth, all the way up into source. Just take a moment to consider that every choice anyone around you has ever made has been based on them unfolding their life path. Turn them over to their own life path. Allow them all, honor the fact that they're all on their own life path. And simply allow that all of their choices and all of their outcomes, even if they thought it was based on you, all of their choices and all of their outcomes have been their essence unfolding their lessons through their life path, and you happen to be in front of it. And all of your choices and all of your outcomes have been your essence unfolding your lessons to bring you here. Now, making the realizations you're making. Now, give your body a big breath. And as you let it out, let it bring your eyes back open and bring you right on back into the room. Welcome back.
Thank you, Scout, for helping us center in the middle here. So going off of everything that we've talked about so far and the groundwork that we've laid about how what we're really doing is working with our beliefs, finding them, healing them, shifting them, and opening up our life to create more possibility in it. Are there any limits to what it is possible to create as we go through that process? You hear in the earth reality, because a lot of the more ungrounded sorts of law of attraction teachings will say you can really be, do, or have anything that you want. Be an astronaut, make billions of dollars, like wind the clock back 20 years and appear like you did when you were 25. Like, some teachings talk about this as though there are no limits or boundaries on it. But a lot of the other teachings I encounter talk about Earth as being a place that does have boundaries built into it. So I wonder, as we get into the idea of manifesting and creating our realities and working with our beliefs to do that, are there any limits on what is possible to create here? Ginny?
This is a really good question, Chris. And I feel like people come up against this quite often when they don't like their blueprint, when they don't like something that they are here to work on it and manifest and transmute. You know, if I plant a walnut seed or a walnut in the ground, it's not going to sprout and become an elephant, no matter how much it wishes to do so. It cannot traverse that, right? Based on its own blueprint. The blueprint is inside that nut. And this is where I think astrology comes in. I feel like astrology is kind of our energetic blueprint. And it tells us where we've been, where we're going, what we're here to work on. It gives us a literal map. You know, the same as when you slice a tree, you can see the rings of it, and you can see when there was an earthquake or how old it is, or when the water changed, or a drought. Like, it's a key. So if it steps outside of our blueprint, no, we're just in denial of what it is that we're here to work on. If it fits within our blueprint, yes, you know, but I don't like ungrounded teachings, as you can imagine, Taurus moon here. So I prefer to stay within a lesson, to stay within what it is, what it is here that we're supposed to be learning. So if you are in kind of chakra development, right, and you are working on first chakra issues, which could bring up fear, survival, resources, and that sort of thing, part of your blueprint could be like Tony Robbins. You know, he grew up very poor. He has manifested quite a bit of money. This is his healing. It is his healing to see what it is, where his limitations are, as far as getting, becoming like safe, resourceful, you know, having more than he needs, right? You can see the healing in that. Whereas, like, if you are in kind of more, most of your lessons are rooted in like the throat chakra around communication, you know, that may not mean anything to you as far as your spiritual growth goes. Doesn't mean you won't be successful. Doesn't mean you won't, you know, have your own company or whatever it is. But your growth, where the actual things that you want to manifest is going to be to free your voice, or to, you know, kind of learn how to communicate emotionally, whatever it is, to express through this space. So to me, I like to look at where someone is and be have a very grounded approach about what it is they're here to work on, and help that manifestation line move through that chakra to a point of completion, despite, the perception of limitations inside that very grounded space. So that's just my approach, and my belief system follows that. Scout?
Yeah. And Tony and I are not acquainted, but it is an interesting piece to note that according to things I've read and people I know that are acquainted with Tony, not only has he manifested a lot of money, he's managed to manifest a lot of money and go through it all and manifest a lot of money and be out of it and be out of money and and so he's been building that in steps, as do many lotto winners.
And you can see that as a survival, that's a part of moving through that
Yep.
lesson.
Same
Sorry to
programs.
interrupt, but yeah.
So I really want to address one word Chris used, and that was, you can have anything you'd like. Let's take that word out. I'd rather substitute, you can have anything that you can fully, deeply believe in. Shortest story I can give you. At one point in time, I was dating a woman who had a Porsche 924, and she really liked the guy to drive, which meant I got to drive the Porsche whenever we went out together. And I liked that. I liked how it felt. I felt really proud and important, and liked how it was when you pulled it in for a valet to park it, because they treat you differently when you pull in with, a flashier car, and they park it up in the, the show off places. I liked all that. And while I didn't manifest a permanent relationship with her, I did manifest a permanent thinking that the 924 would be a really nice idea. And this was around the same time that part of my universe, guidance, was teaching me that it was time for me to do sessions by kicking me out of a number of jobs in a row. So at the moment that I set about this manifestation, bluntly put, embarrassingly so, my credit was pretty much thrashed, and I was seeking employment. And I set about deciding I was going to manifest myself a Porsche 924. Now, the fun part is then a small startup found me and hired me, and they were going to get me a company car. And I pointed out to them that if they rented me some nice four-door Chevy, I'd have to answer a lot of questions about whether or not their company was real, because nobody heard of them. But if I showed up on my sales calls in a Porsche, nobody was going to ask whether or not the company was real. And they went, well, I guess that makes sense. And then oddly enough, the first and only lease company that was nearby that I went to go find out if the company could lease me a car, days before that, some other leasee had returned their Porsche 924. So they had a 924 they needed to release, which gave it some level of discount, which put it at the same price bracket that they would have paid for, that the company would have paid for a Chevy. They leased me a 924. And at the same time, another part of my movie played out, in that the market that company was based in crashed, and I was making roughly 10% of what the initial, because I was on commissions, I was making roughly 10% of what the initial estimate was of what I was going to make. Not 10% less, 10% of. This is when you go to the store and it's on final closeout and it's 90% off. That's an exciting sale. When it's 90% off your salary, a little less exciting. And so what I found was I'd manifested the 924, but I had not manifested what I wanted it to feel like, because all of a sudden I was driving down the road going, oh, please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. I can't afford to fix this. Was that a noise? Is something wrong? Please don't be something wrong. I can't afford to fix it. Parking, I was 6 parking lots away from anywhere I went to make sure there were no cars to ding the car. I drove in a state of fear with the 924, not in the, I am so cool and I am so proud, that I had expected to get with it. I got the thing, but I did not get the state of being that I was seeking. Get it? When we're focusing, it's really about, notice what it is that you'd, borrow Christopher word, notice what it is that you would like. Embody yourself having that what it is that you would like. And then toss out the it and be the embodiment. Guy I studied with years back, he taught, wow, his name just went, Wally Minto, there it is. When I studied with Wally, one brilliant thing he taught us was, we have a tendency to think that the universe flows in one direction, which is that if we get to have what it is we want to have, then we'll get to do what it is that those would do, and then we get to be what it is that that is. If I had a contract as a singer, I get to do what singers do, and then I get to be a singer. The universe flows in the other direction 100%. It's be that, oops, it's be that, looking in the camera, I got lost on my own hands, that's hysterical. It's be that state of being you would choose to be, doing everything from, as close as you can, that state of being you would choose to be. And then it turns out it magnetizes a universe that reflects that state of being. It's retuning your magnet and then tossing out, overcoming, thought replacing, releasing, getting a new outpath from every argument you have in you about not being that. There's a wonderful story about a producer that was designing a show to relaunch Sybil Shepherd on television, relaunch or launch, however you want to phrase it. And an agent talked him into having to go see some nowhere, nothing, no big name, no place play. And her client wasn't interested, but this guy lit up the stage. The agent brought back more and more of his people to see this guy that lit up the stage for no reason. It was not an important play. It was not an important role. It was not, it was a nothing, it was basically Sally in her 5th grade play, but, slightly higher because it was grown-ups. So grown-up community theater, basically. And they kept going back and they finally decided this guy shines so brightly in this nothing play, he's going to be a star. And they actually literally said he's either going to be a star in our production or he's going to be a star in somebody else's production. And they rewrote, because they'd written this TV show to have Sybil Shepherd with a like Pierce Brosnan pretty but sort of vacuous character. And they rewrote it to have it be not quite so pretty. I'm the pretty one today. To be not quite so pretty, but to make it a really sort of smart aleck other character, which is why when you think of moonlighting, you think a lot more of Bruce Willis than you do of Sybil Shepherd. Because it turned out that let him do some wine cooler commercials and a couple of action movies. He was being that state of light already. He was doing this nothing play from full-fledged present, and it magnetized those circumstances that matched up. Figure out that thing you'd like, build a model of it in your body being that, practice being that, come back to being that, return to being that, throw away everything that argues with that and return to being that, embody that, and you become a magnet of that, even though that sometimes won't look like what you thought it would look like. I found that the first time, my first hybrid, I noticed that I suddenly had that car, that sense I used to have in the Porsche. It didn't go zoom, but it was really fun to watch the gas mileage and see what I was doing and feel all that about it, state of being, even though it didn't look like a Porsche.
And looping that back around to something you were saying earlier, as you're holding the feeling of confidence or abundance or something, to try and practice that state of being, as you're holding that, as you're affirming that, it's going to magnetize to you any junk that's in the way. You're going to be, okay, I'm confident. I'm going to practice being confident. I want to manifest reality where I'm freaking confident. And then something's going to come and hit you in the knots, right? And light up all your insecurity. And you're going to get a chance to feel into that, to look at that, to see where it comes from, untangle it a bit, relax it a bit, and then come back to confidence.
To make a tiny change, Chris, if I could.
Yeah.
Not practice being confident, embody how I would be when I am confident. Embody how I would be when I am driving a joyful car. Embody how would I be when I do have that, and then look for the things that would make me crunch out of that embodiment and come back to embodying it. Sorry, it's a subtlety, but it's the difference between having a Porsche and a terrible lifestyle or having a Porsche and feeling fabulous.
As we try to bring that into our body also, isn't it where we find in our body where the opposite or the things that don't agree are stored? And so by trying to bring it into the body, that's where we can discover the things we're already holding that are contrary to what we're trying to create.
Yep.
Cool. So going back to what Ginny was saying a minute ago about Tony Robbins and how sometimes the healing that we have to go through in a lifetime, or the desires that we're holding, can be reflective of the journey that we're on. One person doesn't have enough money when they're young, and it's their healing to create a sense of having enough or being able to obtain. Another person doesn't have healthy relationships and they're looking for community and supportive partners, or often it is this way. One person feels invalidated and can't express, and they're on a journey to be able to be authentically themselves and speak without apology, So is it that is it fair to say that any desire that we hold is pointing the way towards, let me say it a different way, that what we find that we lack in ourselves, or that we find that we feel that we lack in our experience, if we want a relationship, if we want money, if we want our own space, whatever it might be, does that always point the way towards something that we're trying to let in and that we're supposed to let in? Are there any deep desire in our blueprint? Would we ever find a deep desire in ourselves that is not meant to be fulfilled? Is what I'm trying to get at. Ginny, can you comment on that?
It's a little layered, but yes.
Mercury retrograde, sorry.
But it's a really good question. Desire is often related to suffering, right? We hear that a lot in Buddhist teachings, Zen teachings, things like that. And the reason desire creates suffering is because we have the perception that we're experiencing lack. And that perception of lack means that someone else has something that we want, right? Or that we can't have something that we want. So success to me is actually the fulfillment of a perception of lack. Meaning, like, there is no such thing as lack. And when desire is linked to lack, like I don't have this, and it's something that I want, right? Like when we play out that, we're going to experience a lot of roadblocks to our manifestation. But when we look at it in a different way, that we're never in lack, except for what we perceive, then we're going to experience a very different sort of like angle in manifestation. And so it takes, for that other angle, okay, desire, we first have to have a desire in order to put our will towards something. Desire is creative energy. Like if I don't have a desire to like feed a hunger pang, like I'm not going to get up. I don't have the will to fulfill that desire. So they work in tandem. So like when our desire is activated in a positive way of like, the way to use it is to really say, I want more of this, because you're never in lack. If it's like, I want more love in my life, you're honoring the love that you have in your life, whether it be for yourself, from your animal, from a stranger on the street, from a distant cousin, someone passed, whomever. You're honoring what already is, and that there is no lack. You're just calling in more of something. That's really how the law of attraction works. When you actualize and when you realize you already have it, that there is no lack, there is no emptiness to fulfill. You see? So like when you always want to be asking for more. Whenever I say I want to be more abundant, is that in clients? Is that in work? Is that in money? What is that in? Because in that moment, if like say I have a slow week, I'm abundant in time. I'm abundant in free space. I'm abundant in creative thought. So what do I want to do with it? You know, it needs to be pointed. It needs to be, and when we feel desire, like desire is not need. I have a big thing that there's no such thing as needs. Okay. And needs is a suppressed desire that we're trying to have someone else fulfill out of must, out of demand, out of survival. Like, I need for you to listen to me, or I need you to love me. That's a suppressed desire. And that has to come into want. I want you to listen to me. I want your attention. I want you to love me. That's more honest and can be fulfilled or not fulfilled. And we genuinely fear that. Right? We fear things being in a place of coming and going, or in a place of free will. So we want to put everything into need. I need a new car. I need this outfit. I need a boyfriend. I need. And so you know, the complexity of looking at desire and need are, I think, is an important part of this conversation. But also when we look at, like, would any desire ever go unfulfilled? I feel like this is, we want to see what it is that we really want. We have to look beneath the want, because sometimes our desire will put us like, I just want to be left alone. Really? Right? Is that truly your desire? You know, so we want to look at what is underneath it and have very, very clear, abundant energy that is really calling in more connection and more love in what it is that we're asking for to create. So yes, some desires go unfulfilled. It reminds me of this great song Garth Brooks wrote many, many, many years ago called "Unanswered Prayers," where he thanks God for things that he thought he wanted that he didn't get. So evaluating that from neutral and with a little time can be helpful. Scout, sorry, that was long-winded.
There's another song lyric that kind of basically says success is not having what you want. Success is wanting what you have. No matter what question you've got, no matter what vacancy you've got, the answer is an energy state. Because I'm feeling based, I will put it this way. Perhaps Jenny would say it would be pictured, but the answer is embodying, creating the feeling of being that. And I can't even go into all the experiments I've done and the wild results I've gotten in my world beyond just the Porsche, which was pretty damn impressive. Oops, pretty darned impressive. The question of, is there anything you could want that's reaching too far? Only if you're attaching to the picture of the it. Not if what you're recognizing is the being state that you're going after and that you want to refine. I had the privilege, and if you ever have a spare ticket in the Bay Area, I'll go with you, thank you. I had the privilege, a friend of mine managed to get tickets to a Dalai Lama appearance here at you know, me and several thousands of his closest friends got to go hang out with His Holiness at what used to be called Shoreline. I never can keep track of what they call them now. Now, his country's been taken, his home's been taken, he's been disrupted, many of his friends have been murdered, and he's living in exile, and he showed up fully present in this exquisite and beautiful energy, even though he doesn't get to stay home on his mountaintop anymore. Now he's out traveling in the world. I'm sure that's not the picture he had when he stepped into this incarnation and when he stepped into the role this go round. And yet what he's still, I could feel him, I knew when he showed up, I could feel him from like a half a mile away. And could certainly feel him when he left the, you know, when Elvis left the building. It's being the state of being. That's what you're seeking. That's what you're reaching for. It's not wrestling with what someone else should do because you're feeling a vacancy. And it's nice if everybody else could fill our vacancies. Wouldn't that be nifty? And it really isn't how it works. It's putting yourself into that state of being. How would you walk? How would you stand? How would you dress? How would you carry yourself? How would you speak? How would you think? Which of your thoughts would you put away, go away? Where in your body would you relax or move differently? Being in that state of being that you would choose. I'm Scout Bartlett. I do sessions. I also want to mention, if you're listening, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please press subscribe or go find it on YouTube, press subscribe. The number of subscribers makes a difference. My website's over there. Ginny.
Hey, I'm Reverend Ginny Brown, do personal one-on-one sessions, families, couples, you name it, your dog, your cat. We can talk to them all. Hit me up if you're in a transition and would like some support. Chris?
And I'm Chris Mitchell, and my email is in the links if you would like to get in touch with me for any reason, unlimitedastrology@gmail.com. And we'll be back here next month on the first Friday of July. I hope to see you all then. The replay for this will be posted on Facebook, and you can find us on YouTube through there and hit subscribe like Scout says, and information on upcoming shows will be posted there as well. Thanks for coming. If you care to donate, all of the donations go to supporting this program. It feeds back into it, and we use it to improve the show itself. Yeah, thank you for coming.
Great to see you all.